Rest in peace, Bill Withers. It's going to be a lovely day. Rest in peace. Love y'all. We about to get this IG Live with Patrick BetDavid going. Rest in peace, Bill Withers, baby. We're waiting for Patrick BetDavid. I love it.
So we got it. Huh?
Oh, we on.
We have it with Mike Johnson, aka Mike Lowrey.
Hey, that's not what I'm called no more, man.
What are you called now? What do they call you now?
Just Mike Johnson, man.
Just Mike Johnson.
Just Mike Johnson.
You got the look of somebody Will Smith played, though.
Maybe, possibly. So I want to let you know,
man. How you feeling?
I'm blessed, man. I was just playing some Bill Withers. Rest in peace, Bill Withers. You know, today's gonna be a lovely day.
I'm a big Bill Withers fan. It's a fun fact about me. He's got a lot of hits, but he's got a couple of them I probably listened to a few thousand times when I was in the Army. And we used to have a game to see how many times he used to sing the song, Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone.
There we go.
And we used to bet, we say, how many times do you think he said, you know, when he's going through it over and over and over again? But Bill Withers is a legend.
Facts. Definitely so. I'm glad you like him. I figured you would be in a suit, so I had to put on the suit, but I got to keep it real.
Nice.
I got the slippers on.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm not far from you because this is what I'm wearing down here.
There we go. We gotta keep it real for the people. But I definitely appreciate you. This is quite honestly for me when I was a financial advisor years ago. This is kind of like a dream come true. So definitely super appreciated to have you on with me right now. I know you're a very busy man. So I just I kind of wanted to. I have some questions that the audience asked and some questions that I want to know as well, mixed up in there. So I'm just going to jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Fair enough?
Yes.
So, Pat, per CNN, there's been a 3,000% jump in job loss. Over 6.6 million people, have been unemployed. Some people that I know personally, some people that you may or may not know personally, definitely some of our audience members. What would you say to them right now, on mentally staying strong, mentally staying optimistic, realistic as well, though? Because I'm not one of those people that's always positive but not being a realistic, right? So how do you stay realistic and be able to move forward?
Mike, that's a very good question. From my experiences being on Zooms and calls all day, because this is what I'm doing today, running a financial firm with 14,000 agents, nearly 500,000 square feet of office space. We have 200,000 clients, and we're on calls all day long. Everybody today falls in three different categories. Everyone's in one of the three different categories today. The first kind are those who actually need this $2.2 trillion bailout, the stimulus money. They need it. And they got laid off because companies laid them off. Last month is obviously a record-breaking month of 10 million people who got laid off. And the record prior to that was 659,000 back in October of 1982. So that's a real number. But you have people that are not prepared, and they're going to take a big hit. That's the first group. They're going to take a big hit. But in the first group, Mike, this is also a group that's going to use the next 39 weeks, and they're not going to change anything about themselves. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to not read, not learn a new skill set. It's going to be a lot of watching movies, just kind of waiting to see what the world is going to do. The second kind are those that have money in the bank. They have $500,000 in the bank. They have $1 million in the bank. They have $300,000 in the bank. And the reason why they do is because they experienced it back in 2008 when the market tanked 38% in a year and people lost their homes. They lost their 401ks. They had to go back to work for 5, 6, 7 more years. They said that'll never happen to me ever again. So the second time around, they prepared for this. And then there's the third group of people that are taking a hit. that are having challenging times. They're trying to figure out a way how to manage this with their kids, with their families, but they do want to adjust. They do want to improve. To that community that wants to change, I do have some feedback for them. A couple things I'd be thinking about if I'm in that community is, number one, first, mindset. What mindset is needed? Number two is what skill sets are needed, right? Let's talk about mindset. Mindset today, the top mindsets today is how to pivot, how to adjust, how to adapt. We are not experiencing something like, we've never taken a course in high school that says 27 keys to being prepared for a pandemic. I guarantee you there's not a video on YouTube that says 10 keys to being prepared.
I've watched all your videos. I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that one anywhere, right? None of us are prepared, right? So for that side, mentally, every day's new news. Yeah. I mean, when you look at Fauci, if Fauci is a little bit concerned and he doesn't know what's going on and he's the expert, you better believe every day we're learning. So we got to learn how to pivot, adapt, adjust. So that's the mindset part. The other side is the skill side. You got to learn how to Zoom. You got to learn how to FaceTime. You got to learn how to do webinars. You got to learn how to do those things. And on top of that, selling and negotiating, the ability to sell and negotiate today has never been more of a valuable skill set than today. So that's what it would tell you. We can't help the people that don't want to help themselves out, but there's a group that does, and they want to help themselves out. That group's going to do it for themselves come a year, 2 years, 3 years from now.
Definitely. I like that. I always say tough times won't last, but tough people will. We're gonna get through it. We're both veterans. We know we had that mindset already. We're definitely gonna get through it. There's a lot of people listening. We're gonna get through this. I like how you said that the first group of people, they're just gonna be on Netflix or whatever over the next few weeks, not actually trying to learn something. So I want my audience to know, your audience to know, get off your ass. This is your time to, we have the internet still, which is an amazing thing, right? I'm blessed right now to talk to you on the internet, but when I get off, best believe I want to do some more research on how I can become a better person, or how I can get a new skill set. And since I'm not doing appearances right now, I need to adapt, right? Now everybody else does as well. But that kind of leads into my next question that I have for you, Pat. You did speak about this on your channel, Valuetainment. If y'all don't watch it, y'all tripping. You got to watch it. I love it. You got Tupac back there sitting. I watch all your stuff. But how do we keep a healthy mindset? Because quite honestly, I am aware of what's going on, but at times it becomes overwhelming, it becomes frustrating, and it becomes annoying. Like, damn, okay, stay in the house, I gotta do this. How do we grasp the information without letting it bring us down? You know what I'm saying?
100%. 2 nights ago, by the way, I'm at the office right now. I'm not at my house. I'm working because we send 80% of our employees home. Some of them are working out of here with proper distancing. And I got my wife, I got my kids. I told myself the moment this happens, I was in LA at a board meeting. And while I'm in LA, I took my wife and kids because we love Universal Studios. So every 3 to 6 months, we like to go to Universal Studios. My oldest son is all about creativity and he wanted to go there. So we went to LA. While we're about to get ready for the board meeting, I get a call from my senior board member saying he's not coming because of coronavirus. I said, what are you talking about? I'm concerned. So we canceled our board meeting. I said, babe, if we don't leave right now, they shut down the airports. We're going to be in trouble. Let's leave. So we left. We came back to Dallas. So first thing I did, I made a list. And I made a list of up, side, down. What does this mean? Up. My number one priority was to make sure my dad and my mom were fully prepared to know what they need to be doing because they're in their mid-70s and late 70s. And my dad is a very stubborn man. He's a Syrian. He doesn't take advice from nobody. So it took me an hour and a half to convince him to stay in the house, okay? He finally said, okay, I will. I said, just stay home and don't do nothing. My mom, it was an easy conversation. Yeah. Then it's side. I called my sister. I checked on my family. I made sure my brother-in-law's good. I made sure my niece, my nephews are good. And then peers. And then it's kids, wife, the rest. 2 nights ago, I come home and my wife calls me emotional. She says, our oldest son had a little bit of a breakdown. I said, what do you mean? He says he came up to me, he crying. And this is a pretty tough kid, by the way. He's not the kind that kind of shows weakness because he's got a lot of pride. He broke down next to my wife and she says, I want to go to school. I miss my teachers. I miss my friends. Why is Papa not here? He's supposed to be here. We're supposed to go out. Why are we not going to the movies? Why are we not going down to the playground? And she says, babe, I got a little bit emotional. What do I do? So I said, babe, I'll talk to them when I come home tonight. So I went home, and I tell my wife, why don't you take our daughter to sleep? She's 3 years old. I want to talk to the boys. So I took the boys. I said, guys, let's go upstairs. I want to talk to you guys. We went upstairs, and we sat on the bed. I said, sit on the bed. All three of us, we sat on my middle son's bed, Dylan. And Dylan looks like a Middle Eastern Bo Jackson, just to kind of put this in perspective. He's got the bubble butt, yeah, just to put it in perspective. The guy's already got a hairy back at 6 years old, and I don't. But his grandpa's got a hairy back because he's Middle Eastern. And my oldest looks like a white boy because my wife's white, so he just looks like a jock white boy 8-year-old. So I sat him and I said, so guys, I said, what are you guys thinking? He said, and my son's like, nothing, we're good. I said, talk to me. It's just us right now. What are you thinking? No, I'm good. I said, Tico, it's your daddy. You can talk to me. He says, well, Dad, why isn't somebody figuring out the solution for this coronavirus? Yeah. Why can't they figure it out? I mean, I read so many books, and I know somebody can figure this thing out. I can't go out and play with my friends and all this stuff. And I said, okay, great. Dylan, what are you thinking? And he kind of said whatever he said. I said, look, guys, here's what you got to realize. I said, your daddy, when I lived in Iran, I was 7 years old. The first time we got bombed on, I was living in Tehran. So I took the phone out and I showed them clips. And I said, this is what it looked like. Here's what it sounded like. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. I said, I was so scared. It's normal to be scared. I'm a human being. I'm not a robot. I'm not a machine. It's okay to be scared. And then I said, they would sing the alarm when planes would cross the border. And the alarm would say, Tawajo, Tawajo, Alamat Qirmez, meaning attention, attention. The red signal means a plane has crossed our border. We're under attack. And I let them listen to the whistling sound. I said, all I did is we went under the stairs to hide with my mom, dad, and my sister. And I just looked at my dad's eyes to see if everything was going to be okay. Because my mom was scared. But when I looked at my dad's eyes, he was okay. My dad gave me confidence. I said, when you look at your dad's eyes, are you worried? No, you look fine. I said, it's all going to be fine, buddy. I said, let me tell you what happened. I said, your daddy wouldn't be who he is today if he didn't go through those times. I said, you want to know the good news? He says, what's the good news? I said, the future heroes of the world are born during tough times. I don't know why this is. We have to go through tough times. I said, so think about it. So when am I going to go back to school? I said, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 4 weeks, it may be 6 weeks. It doesn't matter. I said, you know what's the best news? What's the best news? I said, imagine when you go back to school and you see your friends and you surprise all of them because you've improved so much. I said, think about it. What if you improve mentally and physically? So guess what we're going to do every day? What are we going to do, Daddy? I said, every day I want you guys to do 25 laps in the pool. Every day you're going to make 50 baskets. Every day you're going to read 4 chapters of books. You're going to do your homework. Then when Daddy comes home, we'll watch a movie together. That's right. And we're going to be strong. So look, I had to have this conversation with my kids, with my investors, with my peers, with my wife, with my mom and dad, with her family, with a bunch of different people. Because at a time like this, if you consider yourself a leader, you got to bring the poise and peace of mind. But you can't also escape reality thinking it's not real, because coronavirus is real. This has happened. And we just have to share some stories and bring some confidence to the people around us.
Facts. Definitely. Love that, man. You gave some knowledge right there.
Thank you.
Seriously, like, especially with the kids in that aspect right there. I need to take some of that myself and utilize that. One of the reasons why I wanted you on, Pat, to be honest, I look at you as like a virtual mentor, right? I think people can have virtual mentors. I think people think that at times all of our mentors can only got to be physical. Well, like, I watch y'all. I mean, I got your little notifications from Valuetainment always on my phone. I'm like, oh, what are you talking about today? Today I got the one, Pat interviews Pat, whatever, right? And so I was like, okay. But one of the reasons why I consider you a mentor is because you live in Texas, and I'm represent Texas, of course, but you're a businessman. But what you continue to talk about, my question I just asked you, you kept bringing up your family and your children, and your wife, and you instilling discipline in them. And that's something that I want to be like you in that regard. I want to be the businessman, but at the same time, I don't want to lose fire, or I don't want to lose the flame from my wife, my future wife, nor do I want to lose the flame from my future kids, And I think that it can be hard at times. I mean, I'm not in your position, but I mean, damn, I can only imagine. Like, I talk to some of my friends, their parents, and they're having to deal with a kid that's just going crazy and haywire. And then I can only imagine in your position, you're a business owner, you know, started in '09, you're here today, still amazing. But then you talk about your wife and you talk about your kids. We want to go 25 laps. We want to shoot some hoops still. You know, to me, and we didn't, for the people that are watching, we didn't speak prior. That's just the man that you are and the man that I've, you know, grown to know. So my question, Pat, to you is, how do you, like, legit keep all the flames burning, man? Like, you got the wife, you got to keep her happy, right? You got the kids, you got to keep them disciplined in line and happy as well. Then you got to keep your business afloat. You know, like, that just is mind-boggling to me. I want to be like that. I don't want to be just a businessman, or I don't want to be just a dad or just a husband. I want my cake and eat it too in all those regards. How do you do that?
I'm assuming you're not married with kids right now, right? You're single.
I would not be on The Bachelorette if I was married.
Well, I'm thinking if something happened after that, that's one of the reasons.
No, so, single, bro. Single.
How old are you? How old are you yourself?
I'm 32.
Okay, so you're talking to the guy who was very scared of getting married,
yeah,
whose parents got a divorce twice in 20 years. Just so you know, my parents got married. My sister was born. They got a divorce 2 years later. Then they got back together and remarried. Then I was born, and then they got a divorce 18 years later. So example of marriage in my life, I've never had one that was successful. It was a disaster marriage between my mom and dad. Financially, my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store in Inglewood. So I don't know what wealth is. You know, I don't know. I've never lived in a house with a swimming pool. I've never lived in an apartment complex with a swimming pool. The first time I ever lived in a house, I was 30 years old. I've always lived in an apartment complex. Like I don't know what it was to live in a house. I don't come from wealth. The only place my parents ever went to for vacation was a city in Iran called Esfahan. Outside of that, I've never been on vacation until I was in the Army and we went to Panama City to just party, but I don't know what vacation is. So I say that part to you to tell you, I never plan on getting married. I enjoy my own company, and it wasn't something I was going to do. One day, I sat down and I told this assistant of mine, Patty, I said, I'm not planning on ever getting married. She says, you know, maybe you ought to read this book called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. So I bought the book, and I sat down and I read it. 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. Mike, I went through every single question. And by the way, the questions are legit questions, kind of like, you know, what baggage do you bring to the relationship? And if one of them says none, you run because everybody brings baggage, right?
Facts.
So who handles finances? How many kids do you want to have? How is the parents involved? How many days can you be away from your spouse? So I took this book and I read it and I said, wow, I thought I knew what I wanted in a woman, but all I wanted was somebody that was 36, 24, 36. That's not a wife. That could be somebody I want to have fun with, but a wife is different. So then at that time, I was talking to 4 girls, and every one of them I gave the book to. I said, I kind of want you to read this book because I'm no longer looking for just a one-night stand. I'd like to see if I can find a wife. And one of them was Miss California. We were together. We actually enjoyed our company a lot, but it was not going to work out with marriage. Another one was one of my former bosses. Another one was a friend. And another one was a coworker I had known since June of '02. Her and I always got along. So one day I asked her out. We're going on an event. We go out, and I say, I know you like me. I know I like you. How about if we date? She says, we've known each other for 5.5 years. I don't look at you as a boyfriend. I look at you as a very good friend. I said, well, why don't we go out and see what happens? So we went out. I gave her the book on our second date. And after giving her the book on the second date, 6 hours later on a Saturday, we went through every question. I highlighted which one of those questions were important to me, which was only 50 of them. I said, let's go through it. After 6 hours, Mike, I knew I was going to marry this girl. So a year and a half later, we got married. And today we've been together for 11 years and we got 3 kids. And I have to tell you, marriage is by far the hardest thing I've done in my life. Nothing is harder than marriage. Nothing. And here's why. I have a hard time getting along with myself, let alone me getting along with another person in my life. So
there you go.
Don't let anybody fool you. You go to these weddings and everybody looks happy. It's
not
like that. So that's that part. You know, then later on, Mike, one thing that gave me a lot of perspective, I read this book called Thank God It's Monday. You know, I typically hear Thank God It's Friday. I read this book from the 70s and 80s that said Thank God It's Monday. And here's what it said. It's written by a psychologist who sat with a lot of husband and wives that were getting married, and he wanted to find out which marriages worked and which ones didn't work. After 20 years of going through sitting with different husband and wives, he finally said, I came to a conclusion. He said, what works is the most important people in your life need 5 minutes of undivided attention every day. So what does that mean? Pull your daughter aside and just walk to another room with her and just talk to her about yourself and herself. Baby, how you doing? How's everything? It's a release because it's a one-on-one connection for 5 to 15 minutes. Then I take my son, one of them. I say, how you doing? What's on your mind? One-on-one, not group, one-on-one. Group is lazy. One-on-one takes effort. How you doing? I'm doing good. How was it today? What happened in school? Any bullying, any fights? What happened with your friend? Then I do it to the next person. Then I do it to my wife. And she releases what's on her mind. Then I do with myself. Then I do with the people that matter to me at work. Once I do that, then everybody's kind of feeling the connection, and then we get back to work. So originally, I would have been overwhelmed to have thought about running a company with investors, employees, all these guys, and run a YouTube channel with a couple million subs that expects you to create content regularly and have a wife and 3 kids and a mom and a dad, and I'm living in Dallas and I'm traveling.
Talk that talk, Pat.
Yeah,
talk that talk.
But eventually it got to a point where this is the life I signed up for. I wouldn't want to live any other life. And sometimes when you realize you signed up for a life that you want, you kind of got to make it work, and every day is going to be a surprise. But I can guarantee you, I can tell you one thing for a fact. We are more capable as human beings than we think we are. I was in the Army. You know what it was like when you went to boot camp and everybody was scaring you about what's going to happen when you go into the gas chamber, and we're lined up to go through the gas chamber to see if we can take gas. And then you went in the gas chamber, and then they said, take off the gas mask. And then you felt your skin burn in. And then you kept your breath for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And then you took the first breath. And then you thought you were going to die. And then you were locked in there. Then finally you left. And he said, man, I'm tougher. I can do more. I can do more. So we're a lot more capable than we think we are.
Right, man. It's funny you said that about the gas chamber. I got asthma. And when I went to that gas chamber, boy, I was tripping. I was going crazy. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I love that. I love to take 5 minutes. That's really all it takes. Just take that's funny. The name of my Bible study is called 300 Seconds. 300 seconds equates to 5 minutes of time.
There you go.
So I love that you said that.
There you
go. Talking about the children, man, and asking that, taking 5 minutes with each of the kids, with the wife, the key employees at the job. I would add definitely probably for yourself, take 5 minutes at least, That's a big one for me. I'm single. I know I've been single for a while. I know damn well I like my own time. At times I think people should know that one as well. That leads right into, you did an interview and you hung out with arguably one of the greatest to lace up the shoes. You got the jersey in the back, I see. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. What would you say would be some takeaways that you got from Kobe in regards to his discipline, in regards to just the man that he is?
There are certain people in your life that you either like to talk to when you're on it, but you hate to talk to when you're not on it. That's Kobe. Kobe can't help himself but call everybody out around him. You got to realize, I don't see it being easy to be friends with Kobe. I don't see it being easy to be a teammate with Kobe. Everybody knows that part because he was hard charging, pushing everybody. And I don't see it being easy to be married to Kobe or having a father like Kobe or having an investor like Kobe or a business partner like Kobe, because he's going to expect a lot from you. Mm-hmm. So when Kobe and I were talking off camera and I saw how he was with kids, Mike, I got to tell you, man, this guy we've had a lot of guests that have come to events, a lot of them. And some of the biggest names out there, from presidents to incredible athletes. We've never had anybody that was as good with kids as Kobe was. It's crazy. This one's tough because Kobe's story and I's a whole different story, because I came up in a completely different industry than he did. Everybody remembers where they were at when 9/11 happened. Everybody does. For the rest of their lives, everyone's going to remember where they were at when Kobe died. Everybody will remember where they were at when Kobe died. We were at a restaurant called Seasons 52. And this tells you how much of an impact this guy made on my middle son. When I got the news and my phone was blowing up, at first I thought it was a ugly joke people were playing. I said, listen, there's certain jokes. You know the whole Paul Walker when it happened, and you know some stories you hear about this person got an accident, everybody gets ticked off. You don't do that. It was like, this is an ugly one to play.
Yeah.
And then when I got CNN notification that says Kobe Bryant died, that's when I knew that this is not a joke here. Then my wife is sitting next to me, and I look at her. I'm like, babe. He says, what are you talking about? Then I had some people on the inside call me, and I said, okay. Then Dylan finds out. My 6-year-old son starts crying. He says, Kobe Bryant, my friend, died? I'm like, you don't cry for anybody, kid. That tells you a side of Kobe about how this guy connected with my son. He spoke to my 6-year-old son for 15 minutes. What for? You know, there are a lot of sides of that guy where you felt like everybody he came across, he wanted to challenge everyone to improve. And you don't get a lot of people like that around the world because most people are non-confrontational, and to challenge other people to improve could be a potential of confrontation. And that was his comfort zone. And only a few people have that. He has that. Jordan has that. It's not a big community that has that. That's one of the reasons why almost anybody you talk to that knew him on the inside, they all will say there was a part about him that if you were around him, sometimes it can be a drain because he challenged everybody, but he also wanted to help everybody improve. There won't be another Kobe Bryant. That guy was one of a kind.
Facts. Definitely agree. My cousin DJ, if he's listening, he will argue anybody to the death. Kobe over Jordan, Kobe over James.
Wow.
Anybody. And I love that you got the jersey hanging up in the background. I feel from Kobe, like you said, he's probably a hard person to have him be your father or to be your business partner or your spouse, or whatever the case may be, your teammate. But that's because he ain't gonna take shit from you, right? He wants the best from you. I think about Body Armor, the drink Body Armor, how little he invested and how much he got out of it. There were some people behind the scenes that definitely probably had some pissed off arguments, right? But the end result is a blessing. It's a beautiful thing, right? So thank you for sharing that. So for the people that don't know, which I don't know how, Kobe Bryant, NBA player, Hall of Famer today, actually. It's funny that we're talking. Him, KG, and Tim Duncan are in the Hall of Fame as of today. So it's pretty crazy. But on another business question for you. My favorite interview you've ever done, Pat, was with, I believe her name is Brittany Kaiser. Cambridge Analytica. Dude, I've watched that interview so many times, I nerd out sometimes. And I guess my question would be, so Cambridge Analytica, Brittany Kaiser is a whistleblower. Go check it out, Valuetainment, everyone. YouTube it. She broke it down. That's why I loved it so much. And how would you say, right now in this climate of COVID-19, everyone's on the internet. Everyone is consuming information and data. Everyone's putting out data. I think it's a wonderful time to be a marketer right now because you can just grasp everything, right? 2 questions with that. 1, how could small business owners, the people watching, how can they, take advantage of that when it comes to going against big business? And then 2, how do we get our hands on this huge amount of data? Because this is the first time in the internet age that there's so much data to grasp. Everyone's on Twitter, everyone's on Instagram, everyone's on TikTok. We automatically know the newest song based on what's on TikTok, right? So how do we grasp this information and utilize it for our benefit as a small business owner?
The biggest challenge for most people of looking at social media and creating content is they want immediate results. There's a couple things I teach my kids. One of the things I teach my boys, everything is a negotiation. If they want to keep, they have to negotiate. If they want me to buy a toy, they have to negotiate. If they want me to do anything, if they want ice cream, they have to negotiate. Everything is negotiation because I want my kids to learn how to negotiate. So by the time they're going into high school, junior high school, they have learned how to negotiate. The other thing that I teach my kids is delayed gratification. So if we go to a Lego store and they want me to buy a toy, I buy it for them. But it goes up on top of the 20 feet up that they can't touch. And the only time they can open that toy, it may take them 9 months because they need to read 20 books. So they need to do certain things. So I get it for them because I'm teaching them delayed gratification. Here's the challenge with social media. Think about it this way. Back in 2007, a 70-year-old man, Ron Paul, ran for office to be a president. Ron Paul, 70-year-old man. He raised $6 million on MySpace in 24 hours. Okay. A 70-year-old man raised $6 million on MySpace in 24 hours. You know who saw him do that? A one-term senator named Barack Obama. Barack Obama sees him do that. He goes, raises a couple $1 billion due to Facebook and YouTube. Barack Obama becomes president. Then guess who's watching everybody? A man named Donald Trump. And he says, great. Then he goes and he creates his videos. And you and I both know without Twitter, Donald Trump is not president if you take Twitter out. Okay, I mean, you have to understand, if Donald Trump ran 50 years ago, he's not going to be president if he ran 50 years ago. The reason why he was able to run today to become president is because of Twitter. So where's this going now? For everybody that's watching this, if you don't have a serious social media play moving forward, you cannot compete in the marketplace today. And let me say this to you. Some of you guys may say, Pat, I'm not a video person. So I don't have a good voice. And I don't know how to write. Great. But I guarantee you could have one of those three things. If you're a writer, start a blog. If you got a great voice, start a podcast. If you're good with camera and you're comfortable with it, start creating content on YouTube. When we first started creating content on YouTube, Mike, the first year, we had 250 subscribers. Mm-hmm. We put a video out, it would get 37 views. And we're like, man, 37 people watch the video. Second year, we had 1,000 subs. We thought we were on top of the world. Third year was 100,000 subs. And then 500,000 subs. And then 1 million subs. Now it's at 2 million subs. A few billion views, social media, all this other stuff. And, however many minutes that's been watched, it's a whole different number today. But when I started, it was a 5-year plan. It wasn't a 1-year plan. I said, I'm going to do this for 5 years. Too many say, I'll try social media for 1 month and see how it does for me. Stop doing it. Don't do it. It's not going to work. I'll test it for 6 months. It's a 5-year plan. And as you're going about it, you get better and better and better. And eventually the goal is to find your one word, whatever one word represents you, and then create content around it. But if you don't create a strategy to...
Then we lost you, Pat.
I got a call from my wife. That's what it was. But if you create, if you can see me now, if you do create content today in a marketplace, fast forward a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, it'll be very tough to compete with you, because if you ever wanted to declare an announcement to everybody, you don't need to call, Washington Post or Fortune or Forbes magazine. You just go on social media and announce it.
True. It's definitely true. With what you said, I'm going to be a realist right quick. I'm going to be a realist. So you said, if you don't have this or you don't have that, I need people to know I'm in my apartment right now. Look at that. I'm in the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom. But I'm trying to make it happen, right? People say, oh, Mike, you're on TV, you can talk to Pat. I say, no, you have every opportunity I can. I don't have this big office space. I'm literally in the bathroom of my apartment right now, so I really love that you said that, man. Definitely so. I know our time is, getting down. I would just like to ask you, last question. What would you say will be your biggest piece of advice in the book that you learned the most from?
For me, books have a lot to do with the phase of my life I'm in. So a book that changed my life when I was in my mid, have no impact on me today. So a book that I may family keep.
Wait, we're losing you, Pat. We're losing you.
So I turned off the lines.
I got you.
Can you see me?
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
so
you.
Book I read today, like I just read a book today, right? I'm reading this book. If I gave that book to the 25-year-old Pat, it would have no influence over him. He wouldn't like it. So many times when it comes down to books or advice, the biggest counsel I give when they're asking questions of advice or another book is ask the question of what phase you were at. Meaning, Pat, if you were 28 years old, single, you're making $500,000 your income, you don't have any kids, and you're thinking about going through this, what book would you recommend? So to give you generalization of different books that have impacted my life. One book was called First Rate Madness. And another one is Hypomanic Edge. Those two books talk about the elements of how anybody that does anything big, they're a little bit weird. So hypomanic edge and first-rate
Elon
madness.
Musk?
Yeah, first-rate madness and hypomanic edge. That had a different kind of an impact on me. Laws of Success taught me to concentrate because in my 20s, I had a hard time with concentration. So that kind of made me learn what it is to concentrate. Blue Ocean Strategy, that sold 5 million copies, a copy I gave to Kevin Hart that kind of blew him away. That book told me how to differentiate myself in a marketplace, right?
Okay.
You know, Principles, written by Ray Dalio, who sold 4 million copies, that one teaches you how to be a CEO. You know, I mean, I have books I read on anxiety and panic attacks because in 2013, I was having way too many anxiety attacks. So everything is about different phases of your life. Like right now, my book is being launched with Simon & Schuster June 30th. It's a book I've been working on for 5 years. It's titled Your Next 5 Moves. And the reason why it's titled Your Next 5 Moves, because, Mike, I believe, you know, over the years, I've heard so many people ask everybody what the keys to success is. And you keep hearing about marry the right person, have faith, save money, work hard, learn how to sell, you know, have the right friends, read books, all of this stuff. Almost anybody I've met and I've interviewed that's taken their game and their life to a whole different level, their number one skill set is learning how to process issues. The way they make decisions is ahead of everybody. So meaning, in the world of chess, a grandmaster knows his next 15 moves. A master knows his next 10 moves. A pro knows his next 5 moves. An amateur only knows his next 1 to 3 moves.
Damn.
So if you want to be a grandmaster, you need to know your next 15 moves. So what are you going to be doing with your next 15 moves? So a lot of that has to do with you knowing. It's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, Your Next 5 Moves. And you can get it on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble. It'll go out on June 30th. So if you get it now, they'll ship it to you first. But yeah, again, there's a lot of different books I would suggest, depending on what phase of your career you're at. Those are some of the ones I just mentioned.
Facts, facts. I'm a 32-year-old single man. I got a couple dollars, no kids. So I appreciate that, man. Definitely so. Any last words? I'll give it to you, man.
Last words is this, guys. I mean, no matter what part of the world people are watching, you know, if we overcame a JFK assassination, if we overcame MLK assassination, which shocked the entire world, if we overcame Robert Kennedy's assassination, if we overcame attempt on Ronald Reagan, if we overcame 01, 2008, we're going to overcome this. You know, I would tell you, if you consume too much news today, it can psychologically mess you up. Don't let this notification era ruin your day. I don't recommend having CNN, Fox, or MSNBC, or CNN, any of these channels, notifications being on with them. I wouldn't turn on notifications with news today, because if you're trying to focus to find a way to improve yourself today, and you're getting constant notifications about coronavirus, these marketers are making money because they're in your face 24/7. Don't let the notifications control you. You notify the people what you're doing, not the other way around. Don't let the world notify you, hey, give me your time, give me your time, give me your time. No, you tell the world, I have 1 hour this afternoon between 3 to 5 to watch the news. I have time tonight from 7 to 8 to watch the news. Because if you do it any other way, the news today around the world, you already know how it's going to be. So no one needs to tell you that the death rate is going to go high in the next week. No one needs to tell you that 50 times a day. You know it. No one needs to tell you cases are going high. You know it. No one needs to tell you it's a shutdown until April 30th or May 20th, depending on what city you live in. So do what you control, and don't spend a lot of time thinking about things you don't control. If you don't sit on the board with Trump right now, and if you're not on the White House, if you're not one of the doctors, one of the surgeons, one of the scientists, and you can't make those kinds of decisions, focus on putting your energy in areas that you can control those decisions. And if you do that, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months from now, when everything cleans up, everyone's going to see you and say, wait a minute, what happened? You're going to say, I used this time to improve. And then no one's going to recognize you.
Facts. Appreciate it, homie. Definitely so. Well, I plan to be at your conference, The Vault. I'll see you there. I'm going to make sure I get that autograph book. And thank you for your time. Thank you to the audience for being here. I'll post this here on the next week or so once I figure out how to do that. Many blessings to you, bro.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one, man.
You as well.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye, bye-bye.